بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. So in this video I'm going to cover the grammar topics that you need for your tomorrow's exam, and I'm going to send you also the structure of the writing in another video, so please make sure that you watch both videos for preparation for your exam tomorrow. But in this video I'm just going to cover the grammar topics. So let's start with this quick revision. The topics that you need to focus on for your exam tomorrow are looking back, places, and jobs. So looking back is a topic that is related to something happened in the past. They may ask you about the history of UAE, for example. About places, they may ask you about the holiday that you went on, or places in UAE. But I think that the most probable topic that will be in tomorrow's exam will be about jobs. This is my thought. So they may ask you about your dream job. Pay attention to use the correct verb tense according to the topic. So if you're talking about looking back, that means you need to use past verb. Places, it depends. If they are asking you to describe a place in UAE, that means you need to use present. But if it asks you to describe something happened in the past, like a holiday that you went on or a places that you visited before, so here we use also places. But about jobs, if it asks you about your dream job, a job that you want to have in the future, that means you need to use the future tense, which is well plus base verb, okay? But related to the grammar, we have passive, specifically talking present continuous passive. We have conditionals, first and second. We have adjectives, superlatives, clauses defining relative clauses, and conjunctions, subordinating conjunctions. We're going to talk about each one of these topics in details with practices, with links that you can practice on your own. So the first topic is the present continuous passive. Look here, the PowerPoint is being displayed on the screen. Who displayed that PowerPoint? So the performer, the doer of the action, is not mentioned in this sentence. In other words, voice refers to the form of a verb that indicates when a grammatical subject performs the action or is the receiver of the action. It's the same in Arabic when we say المبني للمعلوم والمبني للمجهول. الفويس كلمة بتعود على نمط الفعل اللي بيركز لي هل السبجكت الفاعل للجملة هو الذي قام بالفعل performs the action ولا هو استقبل الفعل or is the receiver of the action. Look here, look at this example. Anna painted the house. Anna is the subject, the performer. Painted is the action that she did, and the house is the thing, the object that she did the action on. Why? The same sentence, to change it to passive, the house was painted by Anna. Now this sentence has a new subject, which is the house. Is the house the one who performed the action? No, houses can't paint. So the house here is the receiver of the action. Because of that, we call this verb is passive, مبني للمجهول. The house was painted by Anna. So here is my new subject, here is the verb, and by, and now the agent. My original subject is called agent. Look here. Okay, why do we use the passive? Actually, we have three main reasons we use the passive for. The money was stolen when I don't know who did or who performed the action. I was given some bad advice, so I want to avoid mentioning who gave me some bad advice, so to avoid mentioning them, who performed the action. Or the thief was caught. It's very obvious. The performer or the subject of the sentence is very obvious and no need to mention it, and I just want to focus on the result. It's very obvious who usually catches thieves. Police. So no need to mention that. Focus on the receiver or the result of the action. Look here. A sentence in the present continuous in the active voice forms by using the subject is, am, are, plus explaining ing, I mean verb ing, then the object. The teacher is explaining the directions. The teacher is the subject. The doer, the performer, is explaining, is the present continuous passive, and the directions is the object. Now to change it to the passive, I need to take the object and start my passive sentence with. So the directions. According to the new subject, I have to choose my helping verb. Is, am, or are. Now directions is plural, so I use are. Then, to keep the progressive tense that I have here in the main verb ing, I need to use another helping verb to keep this ing. So I use being. So is, am, are plus being plus past participle. These are the the elements of present continuous passive. So I need to use is, am, are according to my subject. Being is necessary to be used, then past participle of my main verb are being explained by the teacher. Okay, so again, these are the steps you need to follow to form passive. You bring the object first, you choose the correct verb to be, plus being, since we're talking about present progressive, then we change the verb into participle, then I add by and the subject. Look here, the dog is eating our turkey. This sentence has subject, verb, object. To change it to passive, again, I take my subject to the first, my object to become my first, to become my subject now. So our turkey is eating. Okay, this one is singular, so I need to use is, and I want to keep ing form, so I use being, is being. Then eating is my main verb, so I have to use past participle of eat, which is eaten by the dog. So our turkey is being eaten by the dog. Okay. Pay attention that also we change the pronouns change when it's in a place of subject or when it's in a place of object. So I becomes me, we becomes us, you, they, them, he, him, she, her. But if we have a name of a person or a name of an object, we keep it the same. Ram, book, chair, and so on. Okay, let's change the following sentences from active to passive. So the cat is eating the new book. The new book is my object that I need to start with. I start the new book. Then it's singular, so I keep is, and I need to keep the ing. So the new book is being, then I take the verb 3 of tear, which is torn. So the new book is being torn by the cat. Then we are collecting the donations at the moment. At the moment, this is a prepositional phrase. We keep it at the end of the sentence. The donations is the object. This is the one that I want to start with. So the donations are, because it's plural. Collecting, no. I say the donations are being collected by us. We change we to us. Okay, they are washing my car now. My car is my new subject. So my car is, because it's singular, so my car is being washed by them. Mr. Barber is handing out the exam papers. So the exam papers is my object, is handing out is the verb, Mr. Barber is the subject. So I start with the exam papers. This is number one. Number two, I use appropriate helping verb. The exam papers is plural, so I use it with are. The exam papers are being, I add being, then verb 3 of handing out. So the exam papers are being handed out by Mr. Barber. GPS is calculating the route to your destination. So I can start with the route. The route is being calculated by GPS. Or we can say a full sentence, the route to your destination is being calculated by GPS. Okay. Then here I'm going to share this PowerPoint with you so you can watch a video about this and you can practice on different platforms. Now the second topic that we have is conditionals. So unless you're hungry, I'll take the last slice of banana bread. Unless here means if not. What is conditionals? In conditionals or if clauses, we have two clauses in one sentence. One part is dependent, which is the if clause. What does it mean dependent? يعني معتمدة على غيرها, غير تامة المعنى. So if I say if you come early, do you understand any meaning of this one? If you come early? No, actually it doesn't have a full meaning. It can't stand alone. So to make it a complete thought, we have to say if you come early, you will have a chance to sit in the front. You will have a chance. So you will have a chance. This is my second or the result clause. So an if clause or a conditional sentence contains of two clauses, one dependent and one independent. Why do we use conditionals? Conditionals used to describe the result of a certain condition. So, if the clause tells you the condition, if you study hard, this is the condition, الشرط. إذا درست جيدا, and the main clause tells you the result, you will pass your exam. إذا حدث الشرط بتحدث النتيجة. Okay. If you study hard, you will pass your exams. Or you will pass your exams if you study hard. Is there any difference in meaning? Actually here, no, we don't have any difference. We can switch the order between the dependent clause and the independent one. But if I use F here in the middle, I shouldn't use a comma. If I start my sentence with F, I need to put comma after my first clause. Okay. This is the structure of conditionals. Specifically talking about the first conditional, as we have first, second, third, and max. But for your level, you need just to focus on the first conditional and the second conditional. First conditional, so if plus simple present, the second part will be subject will or will not plus their verb or form, verb form or base verb. Okay, what I mean by simple present? Rains, wait, it's, leaves, fly, study. If you look at the list of the verbs that I gave you before, so we have the first column, we have verb 1, the list of the verbs that we use in the present. Then we have the past, the list of the past verbs, then we have the past participle. So here we use the verbs in the simple present. If the subject refers to it, he, or she, I add s or es to the verb. So if it rains, the second part we're going to use will. I will stay, then base verb or verb form. I will stay at home. If you wake up, if I wake up late, so wake, simple present. I will miss the bus. This is the condition, this is the result. If it's sunny, is my simple present, will go, well, go. If Juan leaves, so leaves is a verb in simple present. We add s to the verb leave because the subject is singular. Juan, Paula will be sad. If I find your email, I will send you the picture. If you study hard, you will pass. Okay. It's the same as what we said before, no matter if we change the order between these two clauses. If I study, I will pass my exam. I will pass my exams if I study, but no need to use comma if I put the if clause the second clause. When do we use first conditional? Actually, we use it to talk about real or true situations and their certain results in the future. So I'm talking about possible conditions, not imaginary, not unreal. So if the first part happens, the result will happen according to the first result. So these are used to talk about possible situations in the present or in the future. While the second conditional, I use past simple with would or wouldn't plus base verb. This is what we call it present conditional. Past simple plus present conditional. Pay attention that here whatever the subject is in the F, in the second conditional, I use were. So I say if I were you, I would study engineering. If I were you, I would buy that luxurious car. Okay. When do I use it? I use it to talk about imaginary situations when, not in the past, in the present, or in the future. These are imaginary situations. عم بحكي عن مواقف ومواضيع خيالية لا يمكن تحقيقها، بس متى؟ مش في الماضي، في الحاضر أو في المستقبل. هي imaginary. They are unreal till the moment of the speaking. So if I say if I won $1 million, won past simple, I would buy a new car. Is it really? I won $1 million? No, this is an imaginary situation. If I were you, I would quit smoking. It's unreal because it's impossible to be you. I'm not you, but I say if I were you, I would quit smoking. If I were the president, I would lower taxes. But actually, I'm not the president, just imaginary situation. They would stay longer if they had more time. They would stay if they had more time. So I use past simple with would and wouldn't plus base verb. Okay. Look at these examples. We said that we use it for unreal conditionals to describe unreal conditionals and their results. So if I got the chance to meet Sheikh Zayed, I would tell him, for example, how much we are proud of living in his country, to thank him on what he did for this beloved country. So if I get the chance, I'm not going to have any chance to meet Sheikh Zayed, rest in peace, because he died before. So I use it for imaginary situation. Past simple with would. بينما. First conditional, I use simple present with will. In imaginary situation, I use it with simple past and would. If I had $1 million, I would buy a mansion. If I had a superpower, I would travel to all countries in the world. Okay, so if past simple plus would and base verb. Are these real situations? No. Do I really need Sheikh Zayed? No. Do I really have $1 million? No. Do I really have a superpower? No. So they are just imaginary situations. Okay, here, if she earns a lot of money, she, pay attention, earns, simple present. She will fly to New York. If you eat too much junk food, what will happen? Will you lose weight? Or would you lose weight? Or you won't lose weight? So this is the answer. You won't lose. Won't means will not. Okay. If Tim and Tom to be older, they would play. I have indication here would. So if Tim and Tom were older, because I have would, second conditional, and we said with verb to be we use were. If I older, they in our hockey team. This one, if they, it should be not if I, if they. And this one, not study, it should be play. So if I were older, they would study. I have to change this sentence. Anyway, this one, it should be if I were older, I would play in their hockey team. This one. Okay, so here also you find a YouTube video for extra explanation, and you have here links for extra practices. And don't forget the worksheets that I gave you in the class also to practice more and more. Then let's come to the third topic, which is superlative. Superlative is related to adjectives. Teaching is one of the best jobs in the world. So here superlative عم بحكي عن الأفضلية. أنا عم بفضل وظيفة التدريس على إنها هي أحسن من one of the best، واحدة من أفضلية من أفضل الوظائف في العالم. Firstly, we have to know how to form superlative. So you have to know that if I have a short adjective which contains only one syllable, we just add est and don't forget that. That is essential in forming superlative. So old, the oldest. Okay, some two-syllable adjectives, we keep them the same and we just add est. Quiet, the quietest, est. While if I have adjectives that end in e, I just add st and don't forget that, which is essential. If I have an adjective that ends in y, I change it to I. Then I add est. Happy, happiest. Tidy, tidiest. Shallow, shallowest. We just add est. Okay, if I have consonant, vowel, consonant, short adjective, what it consists of? Consonant, vowel, consonant يعني حرف ساكن، حرف علة، حرف ساكن, we double the last consonant. So the biggest, the hottest. Now for more than two-syllable adjectives, we use the most. Boring, the most boring. Expensive, the most expensive. Beautiful, the most beautiful. Okay. The most or the least. The most الأكثر, the least الأقل. يعني ممكن الأفضلية تكون تقولي بالأقل، الأقل. The least interesting. Okay, so we use the most and the least if I have long adjectives. I have some exceptions that we need to memorize them. For example, good becomes the best, bad the worst, far the farthest or the furthest. Both are correct. Okay. Now, according to your structure, they say that some expressions used with superlatives, some of the most. So I can say that ocean worlds are some of the most fascinating places. It's one of the most expensive restaurants in this town. He is among the richest people. So the phrase in the is often used with superlatives. I can say it's one of the most difficult exams in the world. عم بحكي أفضل شيء أو أصعب شيء في العالم. جبل جيس is the biggest mountain in the UAE. So عادة بستخدم in the بالsuperlative. Here I use some of the most, one of the most, among the. After these, the most, among the بستخدم السوبرلاتيف. وين السوبرلاتيف هون؟ the most fascinating. Here most expensive. Here the richest, among the richest. Okay. This is the most delicious meal I have ever eaten. Or instead of saying in the world ممكن أستخدم the present perfect like here. This is the most delicious meal I have ever eaten. What is the best place you have ever been to? That was the most interesting book I have ever read. Okay. Also, I can use superlative with nouns, not only with adjectives, such as money, people, trees, instead of adjectives. So I can say, in my class, Jamal has the most brothers, which means he has the most number of brothers. And Said has the least number of brothers. Which football team has the most supporters? So brothers, here is a noun. Supporters is a noun used after what? The most, which is a superlative form. Everest is what? Highest mountain in the world, the highest mountain in the world, or highest than superlative. So I have to use the highest. Egypt produces some of cotton in the world. So the finest, the finer or finest, A, the finest. Let me go back here. Everest is the highest. Okay, China is among what countries? Most wealthy, wealthiest, or the wealthiest? I said in superlative I have to use the. Wealthy, it's an adjective that ends with Y, so I change it to IST. So this is the correct answer, the wealthiest. Here also a video tube, explanation, and extra practices. Okay. Then we come to the relative clauses, and here we have reduced relative clauses. So firstly we have to, before we know what are relative clauses, we have to know what are relative pronouns. اللي هي ضمائر الوصل, relative pronouns. So I say that Amani, who sits next to the door, is Yemeni. Who? So I use who to refer to people or to a person. That book which is on the floor is mine. So which is used for objects, animals, or ideas. Whose is used for possession, ملكية. So, for example, I forgot. I have nothing in mind now about whose. We'll see that in the examples later on. Or for example, Mr. John, whose son is a lawyer, is a judge. Mr. George or John, whose son, I'm talking not about George, I'm talking about whose son is a lawyer, is a judge. بقول لك Mr. John اللي ابنه محامي هو قاضي. okay? Or Mr. John, whose son is a lawyer, studies in UK, for example. Okay, that I can use it for either who or which. So I can use it for people, animals, or objects together. Where I use it to places. I can remember the place where I met you. I can remember the time when for time. So I can remember the time when I firstly met you. So these are the relative pronouns. Now, when I connect the two sentences together using these relative pronouns, I will have what? A relative clause, something bigger than a relative pronoun. I have a relative clause. Okay, but I have two types of these relative clauses. I have defining relative clause or non-defining relative clause. Defining relative clauses add add important information, not extra, add important and necessary information essential to the clause. So here when I say I called my brother who lives in Ontario without using commas, it means I have more than one brother, but specifically I'm talking about my brother who lives in Ontario. تكلمت مع أخي الذي يعيش في أونتاريو. ما استخدمت فواصل. ما استخدمت فواصل معناته هاي relative clause. هاي عندي relative clause who lives on Ontario معناتها مهمة وبتضيف لي معلومة مهمة على الناون لأنه هم relative clauses بيعرفوا لي اسم بيضيفوا لي معلومات عن اسم معين. noun فالناون بهاي الجملة هي my brother. طب شو المعلومة المهمة؟ who lives in Ontario. ما استخدمت فواصل معناتها I called my brother. Which brother? Who lives in Ontario. فإذا في عندي أكثر من أخ بس أنا تكلمت مع أخي اللي بأونتاريو بس. بينما non-defining بحط relative clause between commas. هاي ال two commas it means extra information not necessary. My brother, commas, who lives in Ontario is older than me. Between commas, it means I have only one brother. Okay. In defining a clause, we said before that I can use that instead of who and which. So I can use that in defining a clause, while in non-defining clauses, I can't use that. After comma, I can't use that. These bikes, which cost a fortune, are made in Japan. Between commas, I can't use instead of which, that, no, wrong. While here, that's the mug that I bought in Paris. That's fine to use either which or that because here it's defining معرفة مهمة لتعريف المج. أي mug, which mug I'm talking about, that I bought in Paris. Okay, in defining clauses, and here's our topic, that I can omit بقدر أمحي بقدر أعمل delete who or which or that when they are followed by subject or subject and verb. Do you like the song which or that I wrote? So I can directly say, do you like the song that I wrote? So I can delete this one. That's the man who or that I like. That's the man I like. I can remove who or that. Why? Because it's a defining clause and it comes what? It's followed by subject and verb. Where are the subject and the verb? I is the subject and wrote is the verb. So if a relative pronoun followed by a subject and a verb, I can omit that one. While here, in this case, I can't omit it. We can't omit who or which in what in a non-defining. They introduced me to John. I can't say they introduced me to John. I liked who I liked. No. If it's non-defining with commas, I can't delete the relative pronoun. Okay, now reduce relative clauses to phrases. The man who is sitting there is a clown. So instead of saying the man who is sitting there is a clown, who is followed by verb. Okay, so I can say the man sitting there is a clown. I can remove reduced. The city which was destroyed during the war has now been rebuilt. So I can say that the city destroyed. I can remove which was destroyed. I can reduce يعني بقدر أختصرها بس بقدر أعملها أقل أختصر منها فبقول the city destroyed during the war has now been rebuilt. Okay. Now, if I have words in the sentence like first, second, ordinal number مثلا بنسميهم first, second, third, the last, next, the only, and after the superlatives أنا بقدر أشطبها مس وأستخدم to plus infinitive. يعني he is the first man who comes and the last man who leaves. Instead لأنه عندي the first بقدر بدل ما أقول who comes أقول to come. Oops. Okay. Who comes بعملها to come. He is the first man to come and the last to leave. The last man to leave. متى بستخدم متى بقدر استخدم to plus base verb بستخدمهم بعد كلمات مثل first, second, the last, next, the only, and after superlatives. Let's practice. He was the first racer what to win. He was the first racer. Instead of saying he was the first racer who won the grand prize last year, I can say to win. لأنه عندي first. The students football missed the bus. ما عندي first ما عندي second ما عندي third ما عندي superlative فعندي هاي الخيارات. The students to play, the students playing. Instead of saying the students who were playing football missed the bus, so I can use this reduced مختصرة playing instead of saying who are. ما بقدر أحكي the students to play لأني ما عندي هون numbers ما عندي first, second or third one. ما بقدر أحكي the students play football. Grammatically خطأ. And here we have these video poster and online practices. Now, even though these are subordinating conjunctions, I have, as I said when I started talking about the if clauses, that I have sentences which has two clauses. عندي جمل بتتكون من قسمين. قسم dependent معتمد على غيره غير تام المعنى ما بكمل معناه غير لما أدخل له جملة تانية عليه independent مستقلة. طيب هلا في عندي جمل subordinating conjunction even though بتبدأ بهدول subordinating conjunctions بتبدأ ب although ب even though بقدر أضيف وراهم النام والgerund. بقدر استخدم in spite of despite plus noun or gerund. يعني let's focus on although, in spite of, and despite. Now in spite of and despite they have the same meaning, they have the same use. Okay? Although has the same meaning but I can't use it instead of in spite of or despite لأنه although لازم although معناها بالرغم من و in spite of بالرغم من و despite بالرغم من بس although لازم أستخدم وراها subject و verb فما بقدر أقول although raining زي in spite of و despite. They are generous although they are poor. هاي السبجكت وهاي الverb. هاي السبجكت وهاي الverb. بعد although لازم استخدم subject و verb. So although I moistened it, the flap doesn't stick to the envelope. Although I moistened it, the flap doesn't stick. I, subject, moistened, verb. While here, in spite of بيجي وراها noun أو pronoun أو بيجي وراها verb ing. She is very cheerful in spite of his illness. His pronoun, illness, noun. ما بقدر في هاي الحالة استخدم although. In spite of يتبعها إما noun أو pronoun أو verb ing. In spite of their quarrel, they remain the best of friends. In spite of pronoun and the noun. ما عندي فعل وراهم. أوكي. Despite نفس استخدام in spite وإلهم نفس المعنى بالرغم من. So despite followed by a noun, pronoun or verb ing. So despite the bad weather, we enjoyed ourselves. I still enjoyed the week despite the weather. So despite is followed by a noun. Despite here is followed by a noun phrase. By a noun phrase. Okay, let's practice. My efforts, pronoun and the noun. Can I use although? No, I can either start with in spite of or despite. We went out the rain. Can I use although? لا لأن عندي noun. So we went out despite or in spite of the rain. Sorry. The same here. Despite my car is very old. طبعا لا. هاي لازم تكون although. Sorry, ladies. Although my car is very old. هذه بس لأنه كان في جملة أخيرة وشطبتها وما غيرت الترتيب الكلمات. Despite. Okay. In spite of this, in spite of. So here, although my car is very old. Look here, although is followed by a subject, which is my car, and is the verb. It still runs very well. I couldn't sleep despite being very tired. In spite of having دائما تطلعوا مس شو بيجي ورا هذا على الأغلب رح يجيكم بالسؤال الميز فدائما تطلعوا على الخيار اللي بيجي بعد الميز. In spite of or despite having very little money, they are still happy. So having ing. Okay. Here also extra links for practice. Okay, and last topic that we have today is what? Is reported speech. If you remember this lesson, my doctor said that, I told my mother that. Okay, so look at these two sentences. You did very well in the exam yesterday. The teacher said this one is written in active, not active, in direct speech. Why? Because it's written between quotation marks. And the teacher said comes after, at the end of the sentence. To change it to reported speech, I added a reporting verb. The teacher said that, also which is optional, and I changed, look what, reporting verb, I added that which is optional. We, I changed you to we. I changed did, which is in simple past, to had done, which is past perfect. So here today we're going to focus on changing from direct to indirect or reported speech using past perfect, only past perfect, because I can change all the tenses from direct to indirect, but specifically talking about past perfect. Okay, I said in the exam yesterday, I changed it to the exam the day before. So if I have a sentence in the direct speech written in this form, has, have plus past participle, like she has eaten, we have eaten, I change it. They said that they had eaten, had plus past participle. If I have a sentence in past simple written verb 2, she ate an apple, she said that she had eaten an apple. If the sentence is already written in past perfect, had past participle, I keep it the same, had plus past participle. They had eaten their breakfast before they went to the school, so to change it to reported speech, it becomes they said that, or they told us that they had eaten their lunch. It stays the same before they had gone to the school, because when I change it to past perfect according to this rule, the second rule. Can you report the following statement? I watched the Star Wars movie yesterday. So add that. That, which is optional. Then change the subject. Basil said, I watched, so it becomes he. Change the verb, watched. In simple past, I need to change it to past perfect, had watched. Pay attention, miss, to the list of the irregular verb lists. Not all verbs in past, we just add for them D or ED. Some of the verbs you need to know them by yourself. You need to know that eat becomes ate, eaten in the past participle. See, saw, seen. Drive, drove, driven. Steal, stole, stolen. Pay attention to the verbs like verb to be, is, am, are in the present, was, were in the past, and been in the past participle. Cut, cut, cut. Put, put, put. Send, sent, sent. Hold, held, held. Catch, caught, caught. Think, thought, thought. Touch, touch. Touched, no, touched, regular, I mean teach, taught, taught. Watched star movies instead of yesterday, the day before, or the previous day. Okay. Okay. Choose the correct answer here. They, me, pay attention to the reporting verb that I need to use. If it's followed by a pronoun like this one, they, me, so I can't say they said me. Instead, I say they told me. I can't also say they told to me. No, they said to me, okay, that's fine, but they told me. Again, here you have video, poster, and online practices for reported speech. And the final section for your end of term preparation, we have functional language. You can read them by yourself, how to express your opinion, to be honest. You can say, I strongly believe, in my opinion, I believe that, as far as I'm concerned, in my view, I personally believe, okay? For making predictions and hypothesizing, عشان تعملي توقعات, we can say that I reckon working. Do you think will attend? Here I can see. And describing habits, I can use adverbs of frequencies like I hardly ever go, I check regularly, usually, always, often, sometimes. Okay, all these words. And that's it. So here, yeah, and that's it. That's it. Sorry for today's revision video. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. If you have any question, ladies, you can send me at any time, but I may be busy evening with an online revision class for grade 11 advanced and 12 general. So once I read your message, I can answer you. Goodbye.